all about getting out and learning what the outdoors is.
Good evening everyone, I'm sure you've all heard that the shooting season is unaffected by the rule of 6, and that's great news for us. Last week we had John Martin on the show telling us
DTL could have been designed for social distancing. No one really socialises at a serious skeet competition, and in English sporting, you put a shooter in a stand and then you all stand back and watch them.
And this week we've got another guest, Beth. She's only 13 and she's an inspiration to us all, really. So Beth, how did it all begin?
So I originally started shooting with my mum's 20 bore, and I got on with it quite well, but it never really fit. We didn't really understand anything at all about gun fits, gun weight, anything like that. And then as we progressed, we got advice from other shooters, and they said you need to move on to a 12 bore as soon as possible. So I started on the Benelli 828U, which I originally tried from one of our friends had one, and I got on really well with it. But as soon as we got ours home, it was, because it's so light, it gave me so much recoil and so much punch in my shoulder, and it kind of put me off shooting. And there was some issue with the second barrel. It would never go off because I didn't have the weight to push the mechanism back in. So it didn't suit me, that gun anyway. And then when we got to the Oxford Gun Company, David let me try a few guns out. I think we got 2 Brownings, a Maruku and a Beretta. And I was really drawn to the Browning XS Pro. It was the heaviest gun there and the longest one, but I just felt so much with ease at it. And I could control it really well. And although I couldn't mount it so many times, I could only do it a few. I just felt like it really felt right, if that makes sense. And then we obviously fitted it to fit me, and I've been shooting with it since, and it's excellent, so I love it.
And you use it for everything?
I use it for skeet and I use it for sporting.
Do you do any game shooting at all?
It's not really something that interests me, but if I did get invited, I would probably go along just to see what it's all about.
So, you've won the Schools Challenge, which is starting again this Saturday. What next for you now? What's your game plan?
Originally, my game plan this year was to do everything, but then lockdown happened and we couldn't. So I did the English Open, I think it's the British Open English Skeet a few weeks ago, which was really good. And then I obviously did the Grand Festival this weekend. So my plan for the rest of this year is to just concentrate on the things that I really want to shoot. So obviously the winter series, I'll be attending all of those. So I obviously want to compete and do well in the winter series. And then next year, focus more on the Olympic disciplines, just to make sure, because if you want to get there, you're going to have to focus at some point. But obviously DTL is good for concentration. I've only done my second registered shoot the other week and I got a really good score. So now my concentration is starting to be a lot better, because over the time of lockdown, I've had a chance to work on my mindset and stuff, working on like the behind the scenes sort of stuff on a competition. But this year's just getting out, doing as much as possible, getting the experience, and then hopefully getting to go to some of the bigger shoots the year after.
Okay, so come on, what's your secret?
A couple of really good people come up to me and say loads of different stuff, and they all kind of say the same things, but there's one tip that has always stayed with me. If you're good enough, you're old enough. Don't worry about anyone who's older than you, because it's not your business. You just need to focus on you and do what you do best, and you're laughing really. And there's also, you're shooting now. You're not shooting for now, you're shooting for the future. Because there's no point going, I'm going to shoot a really good score today. Because if you think like that, you won't. You have to be determined to shoot a good score, but you can't be arrogant or think that you're the best, really. Because every shoot you do is practice for the future. And then in the future, that's practice for like the next future, until we get to that really high level. So every time I go out shooting, even if it's a big competition, it's just experience really for me. And thinking about it that way just helps you also relax and not be so tense about the competition, and when you're relaxed, you automatically shoot better.
There's so many different disciplines. I mean, how do you choose?
I was lucky enough to meet Katie Polson and Alan Warren in December when we were up in Nut Hampstead, and Katie said, why don't you come and shoot some Olympic skeet to have a little go? So I went out for a couple of sessions in February before lockdown, and I loved it. I loved the challenge of it. It's just the quick mount, the making sure you move from the core, not from your arms. So the concentration is extremely difficult because you can't think about two shots, especially on the pairs. You can't think about the pair. You have to shoot the first one before you even start to worry about the second one. So I'm definitely more fascinated by Olympic skeet for the challenge because it's fast and you have to mount the gun and you've got two plays at once as well. So that's where I want to go.
Do you think you just have a natural gift for shooting?
People I've come across have said that you're going to have a natural talent to, I don't know, just to get anywhere in it to start off with. But David always says that you have a natural ability to do it, but you also have to work hard. You can't just let that like breeze in, just like, I haven't done any work for this and I'm just going to win, because you won't. Because other people work hard who might not have that talent. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have talent for it in the first place. Because if you work hard enough and you have that dedication, you have the time, and you put the effort in, you will get there in the end. But it's just repetition, obviously, and making sure that each shot counts, and then you're not just firing lead down the gun, that you're making a shot for a purpose.
There's definitely something in the sport that I don't know if it's physical strength or size at ages, but there is a difference between male and female shooters. But as we found this weekend, when you get to the top tier, it really doesn't matter who's behind the gun. If they're good enough, they're going to win. So for me, it's been brilliant to watch. I don't shoot anymore because I think, after about 4 weeks, she was leaving me standing on there. So I mean, for me, I've been talking to friends about this recently, and we're starting to get some of Bethany's friends into shooting. Because I see the difference in confidence and mindset and taking ownership of things as well, which is, you know, regardless of whether it's a sport or you're a school, these are important traits. So I think the discipline these youngsters have at, 12, 13, 14 is incredible. And there's not many other sports where you would be responsible for something as, potentially risky as a gun, and have to have licenses and all of these things that involve police interviews. Is quite an adult thing in many ways. And I just think it's great that kids get the chance to try these kind of things out. Hats off to David and Doug and the team for funding, investing and making that kind of thing happen for the kids.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. Thank you both for joining us. You should know by now, folks, that the first of the Schools Challenge starts this Saturday. And what better accolade than Beth and her father. So before we start the winter series, I've got to ask you, please share this out to everybody that you know, because in order for these people to be in with a chance of winning, they've got to attend 5 out of the 6, and the first one is starting this Saturday. So let's give all young shots, let's keep giving all young shots the very best chance in the sport. If there's anything that you'd like included on this channel, please do contact me, alex@theshootingchannel.co.uk. Find me on Twitter, The Shooting Channel News, or visit our Facebook page. That's all from me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next news day.
Please share to your friends and have a look at what other films we've done. And it's all there to try and encourage you to get into shooting this great sport.